Hello, this is Bright Spark, and I'm going to be talking about the new book, Hidden Moon, from the Changing Skies arc. Um, okay, so overall feelings about this book, it's okay. It could be better, it could have been worse. It's just kind of a middle book. Maybe a little bit better than, average, but I do like a lot of the ways how it handles the story. Alright, um, let's get into it, I guess. Okay, so the whole thing with Starling Paw suspecting Fidget Flake, at first it really annoyed me because I felt like he just picked a random guy to criticize. But as I dive deeper into Starling Paw's character, he just lost his father, he blames himself, he wants to prove himself, and he wants to redeem himself. So he's literally taking everything apart from hearing Tawny Pelt say the prophecy that she was sent in her dream, just having him obsess over this, it's really interesting, and I liked how it was handled. At first, very annoying, but as it went on, he got a little bit better, and I like the fact that he realized this at the very end, and we're not going to deal with annoying Starling Paw all the way through. It was also interesting that Fidget Flake of all cats was chosen to be the suspect of suspicion. I thought that was interesting. It would be funny if we were all proven wrong and he was actually malicious or something. But overall, I really liked his little mini arc, I guess, of being humbled in a way. On page 359, it says, "Have you ever thought that by thinking so poorly of your companions while pretending to support them, perhaps you are the two-faced cat?" I really like this. I never really thought of it, and Starling Paw clearly hasn't either. And I actually really like it. It's kind of poetic in a way. One more thing. Starling Paw is told that he is kind of a trickster from the little white tail or white tail tip he has. And I think that's kind of cute, but it's also kind of not foreshadowing. I don't know. It kind of is symbolic in a way of his intentions. Maybe they're not actually for the good of solving it. Maybe he's just trying to actually prove himself instead of doing this for the clan or the clans, I guess. So moving on to Moonpaw, the past book, her parents, I was not very big of a fan of, just because they're background cats and they seemed very generic and they did not talk about anything. I know losing their kit was sad and heartbreaking, but you at least owe Moonpaw an explanation, sorry. But they were a little bit better this book. They actually talked to her. They had a really, really nice bonding moment whenever they were at Morning Kit's grave, which is the dead cat who apparently Moonpaw has been seeing. It is actually confirmed that that is her dead sister. One other thing I noticed about Moonpaw is that it has been hinted that she could discover a new place where StarClan can communicate with them, since the moon pool is being blocked off currently by Two Legs. It says on, I think, page 135, an apprentice had discovered the moon pool. It was amazing to think a cat as inexperienced as Moonpaw herself had done something so important. And then later on page 137, it says, the moon pool had been found by an apprentice after all, and maybe being named Moonpaw meant she would find the next place. Really interesting foreshadowing, I guess? It's probably true. One more thing I really liked about Moonpaw and her little story of having her sister, being in her life and being kind of a very, very negative force. One thing I did appreciate was, the fact whenever she started panicking because she couldn't control her own body because her sister was kind of controlling it for her, supposedly. But that panic that I read, it felt very real, and I was really impressed about how well it was done. Alright, and then also I kind of am iffy about Brambleclaw being the whole protector thingy. That is said at the end of the book whenever Moonpaw confronts her sister. Apparently Brambleclaw is some sort of protector and he's dying also, I should add. So I don't know how that's gonna go on. Alright, it's Tawny Pelt time. She's been okay. She's had the vision that Starling Paw kind of overheard. I feel her frustration with her son, Tiger Star, quite a lot because he's being a butt. He's not listening at all, and I think it even says on page 154, it says, we both changed clans, Tawny Pelt began. Maybe if you think about how you followed your heart to Shadow Clan, it'll make it easier to understand Birchfeather. She originally says this to Doveling, but Doveling and Tiger Star have the exact same view about their son, and I just want to yell at them. You did the exact same thing when you were probably older than him. I'm sorry. You cannot be mad that your son is leaving. They make me frustrated. I'm sorry. Anyway, Tawny Pelt, she's been kind of just a background character, I guess. Her whole thing is like struggling to tell her son, the prophecy she was given, and he's not listening, and then she eventually like leaves Shadow Clan for a little while to go hang out in Thunder Clan because Brambleclaw is dying. I really do like her bonding with the other cats though. It's really nice. She had a really nice talk with the elders, and I liked like seeing her perspective on a bunch of other characters. Also, her and Squirrelfly are a hoot. I want more of that. Please. They need to be girl best friends. One more thing about Tawny Pelt that really annoys me. So, you know, she's the daughter of Tiger Star, right? Everybody knows this. She faced prejudice. She even talked about this before, saying how she couldn't be in ThunderClan because of that prejudice. But then again, she sees Moonpaw having a split face. She's judging based on looks. And I guess maybe a little bit on actions, but come on. She's an apprentice, for goodness sake. The poor apprentice does not deserve Tawny Pelt's, like, judgment. She hasn't even done anything to her. Like, I guess it's right to be suspicious, given what we know about Moonpaw, but Tawny Pelt doesn't know any of that stuff, and she judges. It's just a bit hypocritical from her, I guess. But other than that, Tawny Pelt, just been a background character, in my opinion. She might have not been. Alright, now I'm going to talk about some things that are kind of minor things that I've noticed or I want to talk about. Alright, so one of them is the fact that throughout the whole book, I've been kind of getting the sense that history is not really being taught well, either because people are not respecting, or cats are not respecting the elders, and they're not listening to their stories, or the stories are getting so, like, watered down, I guess, or, like, time is being spent so much that not many cats know about past events. Like, Moonpaw feels like she was not told parts of the clan history. This is kind of bad, mainly because, we need to learn from our mistakes, we need to learn from our history, and if everything in the past is forgotten, the clans will not progress further. This is why I think we should start history class for apprentices, and the elders should teach them. I'm not joking. If that actually happens, I will be so proud of myself, but they need to start actually teaching history. This is very important for the clans. Another thing is, Jayfeather and Moonpaw's relationship is amazing. Oh my gosh. Jayfeather is the most kindest I think we've ever seen him in his life, other than when he's with Briarlight, or, what was her name? Poppy Frost. Like, Moonpaw and Jayfeather, they're just so adorable together. He's such a sweet guy to her. Oh my gosh. I would not be upset if he ends up, like, kind of assisting her as, like, a mentor figure also, because that's also what he's kind of doing right now. And I'm begging Moonpaw, just tell him about your sister haunting you, and he will find a way to help you. He's helped you so much so far. He's being nice to you. That never happens with Jayfeather. And I just really want Moonpaw to tell somebody else other than, I guess, Brambleclaw, because he knows something about that, but it's not really explicitly told or talked about. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Jayfeather. Brambleclaw, however, he's old, he's demented, he's dying. Like I said before, I'm not really a big fan of him, of all people, or cats, to, be the one who's quote-unquote protecting Moonpaw. I don't really like that. I just want somebody else to have the spotlight for once. Like, we've had him since the new prophecy. Actually, since the first series, actually. Like, give the other cats a spotlight. But, I also thought it was suspicious that he keeps like having dreams of the dark forest. Like I guess it's either PTSD, but it's warrior cats. They might not treat it like that. It might be a whole different thing. So we never know. But Brambleclaw, he's been okay. I mean, he's dying. I also find it really funny how absent StarClan has been, like, throughout this whole book. The only, like, hint of any connection we have is with Tawny Pelt. And I'm like, there's so many other cats you could do other than Tawny Pelt. I guess this is her moment, but whatever. I kind of just find it funny that some of the cats are like, yeah, StarClan doesn't really make anything better. Like, I think Cloudtail says, I mean, it's Cloudtail, on page 332, that he says, so much has happened that now I have to admit they exist, but I'm not sure they've ever made my life any better. Things might be more peaceful without them. And I fully agree. StarClan, get your stuff together, please. One other thing I noticed that in the book, it says on 377, night and day, but only night survived, whenever it's referring to Moon Kit and Morning Kit. And I started thinking about this, and I really, really want this to be some sort of, like, prophecy. Not prophecy, but, like, some sort of, like, foreshadowing. I love foreshadowing, if you guys can't tell. So I want the night and day, but only night survived aspect to somehow make it into the whole story. Because I really, really like that for some strange reason. Moving on to the last thing I'm talking about is Crowfeather and his whole deal of keeping what is actually being told to him a secret. And I'm dying to know what it is, because Crowfeather, I've not really liked him that much. And now I have to wait until the next book to actually find out, like, what he's been told, because he's hiding something. And I have literally no idea what that is. Like, I kind of think that maybe he couldn't contact Feathertail, and, like, StarClan is blocked off for some reason, but I don't think that's quite it. Maybe it's something else. Maybe he got a prophecy. But we will have to wait until then. Quick editor's note. I realize I completely forgot to talk about Crowfeather almost dying. I've been hearing this one theory from this one YouTuber named Bright Guardian Kira, and I really hope this is true. It's like Crowfeather is so hurt, like his spine is hurt, that he needs to go to ThunderClan with Jayfeather because he has had experience healing that type of wound before with, like, Briarlight and stuff like that. And that's kind of where Tawny Pelt will actually, like, interact more with Crowfeather, and Crowfeather might interact with Moonpaw actually some more. And I actually really like this idea. Hopefully it's true. It's really clever, honestly, so maybe that, but I doubt they'll kill Crowfeather. Like, he's not dead, I swear. And if he is, cool, I guess I'll take it. Alright, that's probably it for today. Comment if you have any opinions on anything, or if you want to correct me, because I'm pretty sure I made some mistakes. But anyways, hope you have a great day. Bye!